Hi and welcome back to Insights with Nandu. If you enjoy the channel and the videos, please do subscribe, please do comment on the videos, and please do share them with your friends. And yes, if you like them, please do click also the like button. In our last couple of episodes, numbers 20 and 21 on leadership and on becoming a CEO and being a successful CEO, I promised you I would come back and talk to you about communication and share some tips on communication. Well, that's what today's episode is going to be all about. The insights that I have on effective leadership communication are insights that have come from my own career based on the countless mistakes I made, on the countless wrong assumptions I made, and the painful process of trial and error and figuring out what works. I also owe a big debt of gratitude to all the fabulous communicators I met along the way, both at work and in the area of academics at London Business School and at the Indian School of Business. And I have learned so much from every single one of them. It's one of the common misconceptions with communication, particularly if you're the boss or you're the CEO, is that whatever you say has to get implemented immediately. Well, nothing could be farther from the truth. And it's difficult for us to imagine when we point our fingers up at the CEO and one day when I get to be the CEO, things are going to happen exactly the way I say. Well, when you get there, you'll realize it's not quite so simple. So, because communication is as much of an art as it is starting to be a science. Communication is a lot about non-verbal cues, body language, it's about role modeling, it's about what you do as much as it is about what you say and how you say it. Today I'll focus more on the what you say and how you say. I will not talk so much about the role modeling in today's session, although I will mention that role modeling and what you do to signal change and desired behaviors is far more important than what you say. But to keep it simple, we'll talk about what you say in today's session. So most bosses, CEOs, leaders, when they want to signal a new strategy, a new set of behaviors they expect people to follow on any part of the value chain, they tend to make a speech, tell people what they should do starting tomorrow. They issue a circular, issue guidelines, and they say, job done. To their great surprise, the change does not get implemented because what they have done is necessary. It's absolutely essential, which is telling people what to do, talking to the hands of people telling them what to do. But it's not sufficient. Because just telling me what to do doesn't convince me that I should go out and do it. Because maybe I like you, maybe I don't believe you, maybe I think you read the situation wrong. So how do you get over that barrier? And a lot of smart thinkers, people like Simon Sinek, and you can go on YouTube and you can see his videos that say, start with the why. Say it's not enough to tell people the what and talk to their hands. You have to talk to their heads and tell them the why. And as it turns out, that's a good strategy. When you talk to people and tell them about the why, and so they start to understand the why the change has to happen, and maybe they start to, you convert many more people to coming on board with your change. But you still don't get everybody. Because really successful communication is about reaching the hands, the what, reaching the heads with the why, and reaching the heart to get people to believe in the change. In my experience, there's only one way to reach the heart, and that is through the power of storytelling. Now let's backtrack a bit and let's look at some of the work that Yuval Noah Harari has done. In his book, Sapiens, Homo Deus, etc. He asks the question, why are Homo sapiens the dominant predator on planet Earth? Why is it not wolves or lions? They also form tribes of 20, 30 animals. They have sharper teeth, sharper claws. Why is it humans? And he posits that it is because humans uniquely evolved the ability to create mass cooperation networks that span hundreds, thousands, millions, and even billions of people. To create common codes of behavior that enable functioning societies, and through these mass cooperation networks, they basically outcompeted any other predator on the planet. So how did they do this? And he says it's because we have this unique ability as humans to create an alternate, fictional, an imagined reality. And this imagined reality we create through the power of storytelling. So the $20 bill is an imagined reality. You can't eat it, I can't eat it. But as long as we both believe it has value and pretend as if it has value, it has value. And that's an imaginary reality we've created based on stories. All religions are mass cooperation networks created on the basis of common stories that we buy into that reinforce adherence with a particular set of values and beliefs and behaviors. The joint stock company, the public corporation, which we treat as a legal individual, is an imaginary entity. As long as we all behave as if it's a real entity, then we all can align codes of behavior in a particular way. So he talks about the Code of Hammurabi, for example. And the Code of Hammurabi, which has been deciphered based on the ancient clay tablets in ancient Sumeria, decoded with the help of the Rosetta Stone, actually says that I, Hammurabi, have been appointed by the gods to be, your king. And that there are basically, I am telling you that there are three kinds of human beings. There's a superior human being, there's the ordinary human being, and there's a slave. So if a superior human being takes the eye of a superior human being, the price, the justice is an eye for an eye. And that's the phrase we're all familiar with. But if a superior human being takes the eye of a slave, the price is 20 shekels. Now, whether you believe it's fair or unfair, as long as all of society believes in this myth, in this fiction that there are three kinds of human beings and you have a place in this order of society, society functions. The day any segment of the population says, why am I inferior? Why do I only get 20 shekels? Why don't I get the same justice as that guy gets? Society breaks down. Imagine if Hammurabi got into a time machine and came to present-day Times Square in New York. And there he saw the American Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, etc. And he reads things like, we believe all men are created equal and have certain inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. He would question it and say, hey, but I'm Hammurabi. I'm telling you there's three kinds of human beings. How can you say everybody is equal? But that's not the point. The point is, as long as everybody believes in that constitution and behaves as if that constitution is real, society functions. The moment a segment of the population starts saying, listen, I don't believe all men are created equal, actually we are superior, that particular contract breaks down. So the way we reinforce common codes of behavior is through the power of these powerful imaginary concepts that we create and communicate using stories. Another very interesting insight that comes on stories from research and literature Apparently, most people respond to stories with the emotional brain of a 5-year-old. And there are, to be fair, segments of population, and you guys are amongst them, who are able to use the rational brain to question their emotional brain and then take decisions. But the majority of the people actually go with what their emotional brain tells them in response to a story that they hear. And that emotional brain responds with the perspective of a 5-year-old. And it turns out that all stories, basically successful stories, follow the same structure. Whether the story is from a religious book, whether the story is from a business leader communicating to you or a political leader communicating to you, stories have the same 5 elements. First, there is a hero, a protagonist, whose job it is who has a good history, who has done something really wonderful. In a business context, it could be our company. We did wonderful things and we've actually created genuine solutions to problems that society faces. So you paint that, and the richer you make the character, the more evocative that character becomes to the listener. Second, you have to have a villain, and that villain may be a person. In the case of religious books like the Ramayana or Iliad or things like that, or it could be competition, or it could be an evolving economic situation. It could be the COVID crisis. Now that's the villain that's created all kinds of problems for us. You have a hero, you have a villain. The third thing you have is you have struggles and problems. So as a result of this crisis, as a result of this villain, what are the problems we are facing? So we were great. Suddenly we have this crisis, and as a result, our business is in trouble. And the fourth step is the solution. So because of these problems, because of this villain, what do we do? And then the fifth is the picture of success. So to summarize, hero, villain, struggle, resolution, picture of success. Or protagonist, antagonist, struggle, resolution, picture of success. A successful story has to have all 5 elements in it. And the 5 elements, the richer you make each element and the more evocative you make at describing it, the easier it is for the listener to retain, to empathize, and to believe in the story. So successful leaders, successful business communicators, therefore, have to become chief storytelling officers. They have to know how to reach the hands with the what, they have to know how to reach the head with the why, and they have to reach the heart through stories. Successful politicians know this. And you look around the world, particularly at democracies, where leaders have to get elected, and successful leaders are always normally masters in the art of storytelling. Sometimes those stories may be simplified or even simplistic. Sometimes these stories may make demons out of imaginary enemies and propose solutions that are simplistic. So that's the real risk with learning how to use this particular tool, which is unless the leader has a strong value system, strong ethical and moral compass, it is very easy for the leader to actually sway entire societies towards believing an imaginary reality which may not in fact be based on the truth. So this is why one of the most important characteristics of senior leaders, of CEOs particularly, is not only do they have to be chief storytelling officers, they have to be chief ethical officers. If not, it's very easy for the entire company to be taken down a path that they, in future times, will look back with a great deal of shame and regret. So, to summarize, successful communication is about talking to the hands, the head, and the heart. The hands and the head are relatively easy to do. Those are skills we learn in everyday business communication. The heart is a skill that politicians and movie producers and TV serial producers, they know really, really well. I'd invite you to study that art, to practice it. Starting at home, tell stories to your 5-year-old daughter. If you have an important business story you want to communicate, try it out on your 5-year-old daughter first as a story. If she gets it, you're probably onto a winner. If she doesn't get it, you might need to tone down the simplicity. The complexity you can put in the what and the why. The detailed circulars, the speeches, you can put the details, the complexity. But the story, ultimately, when you tell the story, that has to be really simple. And it has to be based on strong values and ethics. Because ultimately, as people listen to the story and they start to believe, they will change their behaviors and the whole organization will start to move in a new direction. Another important tip here is not only do you have to be the chief ethical officer and the chief storytelling officer, you have to keep repeating this over and over and over and over again. Because sometimes the 50th time that you told the story, maybe the first time I heard it and I actually paid attention and I listened to it. So you ever tell the story till you're sick and tired of it, and still you have to continue to tell it with the same passion, with the same conviction, with the same amount of confidence, so that the person who hears you at that time maybe is hearing you, genuinely hearing you for the first time. This is one of the things with modern lifestyles is we all have so many competing and conflicting priorities. Maybe you got an email, maybe there's a fire I have to fight, maybe somebody didn't speak nicely to me, that we don't always listen with 100% attention. So it is not necessary that the first time you tell the story, everybody listens to you. Some will, but for the bulk of the organization to actually listen to and believe your story with the heart, it may take 10, 20, 30, 40 repetitions. So keep repeating, persevere in your communication. The other thing is, it's more fundamental. If you find at any point of time that the strategy that you have embarked in is something that is not bearing fruit, or if you have come across some new learning, some new facts coming out from out there that cause you to reevaluate your strategy, then be honest. Tell your people, I learned this thing new, and as a result of this, we have to reevaluate our strategy to move in this way. This is what we have to change, and build that into your story. When you do that, there's two parts here. The one part is you can't keep changing your strategy from one day to the next. Because if you keep doing that, your story is confused and the organization ends up being confused. So you need a certain amount of consistency in your communication, in your strategy, in your way forward. Having said that, when your existing strategy is not working and everybody can see it's not working and there's some new realities out there that you need to respond to, then not acknowledging that can mean that you as a leader and your message loses credibility, it loses authenticity. So it's okay to evolve your message and say, that was our strategy, but based on these results, we need to adapt it now to move like this. It's okay to do that. But it's a fine judgment call. If you do it too quickly, too often you confuse the organization. If you do it with reason, with a certain definite period where you have given the strategy a fair trial, then the organization will accept the evolution until such time as there are reasons to believe otherwise. So this is why I call leadership communication an art and a science. It's something that you're going to build over time. The more you do, the more you practice, the more skilled you will get at it. And the more you'll have this fine sense of when it's okay to change and when it's not time to change, when to lead with the heart and when to lead with the hands and the head. This is a fine balance, and this is part of the wonderful art and science of leadership. I wish you a great journey in discovering these skills, in practicing with these skills, and in developing these skills. Please do share your thoughts and your stories as you grow and develop with these skills. Thank you. And if you like the video and you like these tips, please do hit the like button and please do share this video widely with your colleagues and your friends. Thank you.